Hey, what's happening? This is Justin Fort with offroad.com coming to you, not live, less than a month ago? That's relatively live. It's better than Memorex. I'm bringing you this piece of video that we just shot at John Bull, which is a difficult trail. It's not as tough as everyone says it is, but it's a difficult trail in the Big Bear Trail Complex just outside of Los Angeles. We got interesting and attached one of our Replay XD cameras to the bumper on this late model Wrangler Rubicon. It was a short wheelbase rig, so this trail is a little bit tougher for him. He's running on 35 12.5s on the some sort of tough guy looking rim. I can't remember what the wheel was. Doesn't matter. The point is that this is about the tire. We get a good idea of how the tire gets eaten, chewed, abused on this run going up John Bull. John Bull's one of the more, I guess people call it tough. They call it one of the hardest trails on the West Coast, I've heard. I disagree. I would call it a 4.5 on the 5 scale for difficulty. It is no carnage. There's a lot of ways to get up this trail without damaging yourself, especially if you're careful. I've been heard it can be done without lockers on 33s, which experiment with ourselves coming up in the next couple of months with a couple of locked up forerunners. See how far we can get unlocked on Agro 33s with the independent front suspension. Might be interesting. Yeah. Well, let's see if we can avoid using the winch. Needless to say, this run was done in a locked up 2015 Ruby short wheelbase rig. Did a nice job of it. He took the relatively tame lines. Didn't try and murder himself. Had the MTRs down in the 10 to 8 zone.
Hey, you see a set of keys around here?
No time for love, Dr. Jones.
BSI, that is. The trail itself, as we were saying, is not the toughest thing on the West Coast. You can make it difficult. There's a lot of ways to choose a tricky line. We saw plenty of guys get hung up because they were playing. Always good to challenge yourself on something like this once you get comfortable, because it's when you think you're doing fine and you're not over your head that you get in over your head. Now, 3N10 is the state forest road designation for this trail. It's easy to reach once you have an idea where you are in the Big Bear Trail area.
What? What are you? I don't have one of those.
Obviously, it's going to be easier to find if you're in a Toyota. The trail can be reached from Van Dusen or Van Duisen, however you say that in Dutchese, off of Holcomb Valley in the John Bull Flat area. There's a lot of spots to camp up here. You're going to see a lot of folks' tents here and there. I saw a guy running hunting dogs, so ironically, the guy had a whole herd of hunting dogs around him, and they were paying very close attention because about 100 yards further down the road was a bunch of deer, and the dogs were not running the deer down, so clearly the guy running the dogs had control. But aside from dog guy, their trail like this, it's aggressive enough that if you have people in your group who have not done serious crawling, you probably want to counsel them and test them out. There's another way to get up to the John Bull Flat would be Gold Mountain Truck Trail, which runs pretty much right off of the 38, which loops around State Route 38, which loops around Big Bear Lake and through the Fawnskin Big Bear area. Gold Mountain is a 3 to 3.5, maybe 4 if you're really pushing it.
Jesus, son of a bitch, I got it!
And that 4 makes makes for a good break-in trail. I mean, you can do Gold Mountain quite easily on 33s and unlocked if you're feeling like a tough guy. There's a couple really good ways to make Gold Mountain tough if you want to be all, I've done this before guy. But when you get to John Bull, the spotters that were optional, who are optional on Gold Mountain, are going to probably be required. There's a lot of ways to get hung up on this trail again, and a lot of tough sight lines that a spotter is going to be helpful with big boulders with a significant drop off on the backside and pinch points that you're going to want to have a spotter able to walk you through where the vehicle's tipped, or in some cases, if not tipped, pinched. Now, you're going to be in Big Bear. One of the nice things about this area, one of the reasons we should all work on getting more trails open, like we lost Jacoby during the fire season, and it's California, so the 4 seasons are earthquake, riot, fire, and summer. The fire season last year took out Jacoby Canyon, which is a shame, because that was a nice way to break somebody in who had not done a lot of froading. But you're in the Big Bear area. You've got a couple breweries. You've got a nice amount of dining. It's turning into the Telluride, I'm afraid, of Los Angeles County, or technically, I think this is not Los Angeles County. This might be the what's this county called? Inyo? I can't remember. The point is, Big Bear is a little bit removed from LA, but you got enough folks that are buying expensive homes up there that everything's starting to get a little pricey. Fortunately, it's not. Ironically, too, it's unlike the rest of Southern California. You can still afford a little bit of property in the Big Bear area because there's a lot of smaller towns surrounding it that you can put yourself in. But you've got great B&B access, great, what's the home rental thing, the Airbnb. You can put yourself up here inexpensively for a day or 3 and basically drive off the front door of your cabin and a mile or 2 to a trailhead, which, if you're not a camping fan, makes it a great way to do Big Bear. And like I said, the restaurants are pretty good, and the beer is not half bad. Of course, you live in San Diego like I do, and you get spoiled on the beer. But that's a separate tale. This trail is not as hard as they say. It is hard. It's short, which means you can walk it if you want to before you run it. I almost recommend that. If you do not know the terrain on a difficult trail like this, it's nice to have an idea of what you're in for. If you can get past the early boulder fields and the first 100 yards of it, you're probably going to be fine on most of it. John Bull is a must-do in the Big Bear area for anyone who's been froading for a while and for crawling fans. I'm Justin Fort. This is offroad.com's video series, and this is a little experiment we did, a day in a tire's life on trail. And we'll be back with something new. I think we've got a trail from Otay Mesa coming up, a little bit of run up the truck trail that sits right along the border. We'll put that together and get it out to you ASAP.